what has happened? We predicted last Sunday that the United Nations, NASA, and the British University that were caught doing this would come out and say that the emails were fake. But actually, what we're partially right, partially wrong. They came out, they got called by the Associated Press first. They returned calls to the AP first. They got calls 7, 8, 9 days ago from other media. And the AP said, did you write this? And the head scientist, Jones and others, said, yes, we did write these emails, and there's a criminal investigation on who leaked these. Now, more and more, it looks like the media is calling it a hack, but it was internal scientists below these guys who were worried about going to prison, and that's in the emails for lying that leaked it. That's the evidence now beginning to come out. But instead, they've said, well, they're taken out of context. And mainstream media has written headlines like, emails not accurate. Then you read the sub-article, and it says, well, they really wrote this, but it was taken out of context. People didn't read the whole 1,000-plus emails and hundreds of internal documents. Well, now the research community's had a chance to go over them, and it's even worse than what we said. Not only is the United Nations, NASA, and this head climate research facility in England, East Anglia University in eastern England, caught lying, but they're in there talking about how to persecute other scientists. They are in the emails talking about how to block peer-reviewed journals from publishing science and real scientific readings that prove them to be liars. And they're in there talking to the British government and the U.S. government about how to block FOIA requests. And they're in there talking to the White House science czar, John P. Holdren, on how to block the release of this information. And it turns out the BBC, almost 6 weeks ago, 5+ weeks before this was released in the mainstream, the BBC was given these emails and documents and decided to cover it up. So they're in a lot of trouble right now. But even more importantly, now we've learned that in the documents that were released on WikiLeaks, the big site where whistleblowers release information, and the university has confirmed that this is their computer programs, multiple programs, that in the code to the program are notes by the programmer for others using it saying, this is a fraud, it's getting colder, here's how you cover it up, here's how you manipulate the data. So we have the very software from the computer program that was used to integrate all this climate data around the world in the notes on the programming itself saying this is a fraud and a lie. Now in New Zealand and Australia, and it's coming out in Canada as we speak, that universities and UN-affiliated weather climatology centers have been caught, ladies and gentlemen, have been caught. Listen to this. We have this all linked up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. It's London Telegraph, the Daily Mail out of Canada, all mainstream news. That's the big New Zealand papers, ABC News, Australia. They have been caught not just faking the data at the UN climate centers, but the nations themselves have been caught cooking the books as well to get the fraud in line. Because in the last decade, real climate scientists, independent climate scientists, would call up universities and groups and get their data and then go match it to the UN's data, claiming Australia or Canada or the U.S. or Europe or Russia were hotter, and saying, well, their actual buoy data from the ocean or their actual weather center data shows it was cooling. Why do you say it was heating? Did you fake that data? And they'd say, oh, we just made a mistake. So they started getting caught doing this a decade ago, right around 9-10 years ago, depending on the nation. And so they began to integrate together and get their fraud on the same page. This is a massive criminal conspiracy. Senator Inhofe has called for criminal investigations. Lord Monckton, part of the House of Lords, Viscount, one of the biggest positions in the government over there in the peerage, on this radio show Friday, called for shutting down the United Nations and arresting Al Gore and arresting the head UN scientist, Professor Jones, and arresting all of these people. So that is all coming up. Now, Charlie Sheen is going to be with us for 2 segments. In the first segment, it's just going to be Charlie and I. Then we're going to have the winner of 20 Minutes with the President contest. We'll tell you all about that contest. Most of our listeners are fully aware of it. The website is 20minuteswiththepresident.com. You spell out 20minuteswiththepresident.com. Fully spell it out. It's not a numerical prefix at the beginning. You have to spell it out. We tried to get the domain and couldn't. So 20minuteswiththepresident.com. And you can see all the great 9/11 research that Charlie-Sheen engaged in. And it's been hundreds, over 150 videos were submitted. Dozens of them were of incredible quality. It's reached already millions of people. Just his message to the president has had several million views online that we know of. 900,000 just on one YouTube channel. So Charlie-Sheen coming up after this quick break. We are live on this 29th day of November, this Sunday transmission. Stay with us. We'll be back with Charlie-Sheen and then the winner of the 20 Minutes with the President video contest. Stay with us. Well, I'm excited, ladies and gentlemen. We have Charlie-Sheen live with us on this November 29th Sunday edition. And Charlie really needs no introduction. The star of 2.5 Men, star of Spin City, so many blockbuster films. Of course, the great son of Martin Sheen, the brother of Emilio Estevez. He had the idea 3 months ago to really write his thoughts about 9/11, his questions, like 6 of the 10 9/11 commission members saying that the official story was a fraud and a lie and there was a cover-up. John Farmer, the head lawyer, saying it was a criminal cover-up. Charlie wanted to use his notoriety selflessly to try to have a real debate about this, thinking, gee, we've got a new president. Surely this should happen. So Charlie-Sheen's with us, and in a few minutes we're going to bring up the winner. I don't know if I should announce this or if Charlie should, of the 20 Minutes with the President video contest. Charlie, it's great to have you here with us, my friend.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. They didn't punch you up yet. That's their specialty. I'm just joking. Hey, it's good to have you here, buddy.
It's great to be here, man.
I mean, really, this is an exciting contest. We got over 150 great entries. Maybe for listeners that just tuned in, give them some background on your questions of 9/11, why you came up with the idea for 20 Minutes with the President, and then the subsequent contest.
Well, you know, I felt because it was our first, you know, new president in almost a decade, and that the entire movement had been stonewalled so terribly and so completely by the Bush administration and by the mainstream media, that I felt, based on, you know, all of his campaign promises and other rhetoric, that he might be the guy that I could go to establish the message of, you know, new president, new investigation, because here we are this many years later, and there's just too many unanswered questions. There's just too many holes in the story that you could fly planes through. And it just, I felt that if I created this, I guess, a piece of, you know, fantasy journalism, but rooted in and supported in fact, that if we put this out, that it would generate enough attention and enough pressure that you know, on the Obama administration, that they perhaps would be forced into giving me this time. But as we all know, here we are a few months later, and nothing of the sort occurred. In fact, what was really interesting, and I think it really showed their hand, is how they refused to acknowledge this document, other than, you know, with Fox News and a few others, just radically blatant hit pieces on me and not the facts and not the document. And so I think that was really telling, that they just went back to their old bag of dirty tricks and, you know, attacked the man and didn't deal with the message.